Gracias por todo.
Bueno, Simón, primero vamos a contarle al auditorio cómo fueron tus primeras horas en Buenos Aires, cómo te está tratando la ciudad.
Yeah, the city has been absolutely amazing. We've got to meet so many fans while walking around. We went to some of the statues out here, got a bite to eat, went to an Argentinian steakhouse last night. So the first couple of hours have been amazing. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
No ha sido a cualquier parrilla, tengo entendido que ha sido a Don Julio. Creo que todos aquí sabemos de qué se trata, ¿no? Ha elegido bien.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually found the restaurant on TikTok because I was looking at restaurants and I found it because I love tequila. So whenever it said Don Julio, I was like, I need to go there. And I didn't even know that it was the #1 steakhouse in the world, but the service was phenomenal. The wine was even better, as well as the steak. So I had a blast, as well as my agent and my coach. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Bueno, el bife argentino, digo, cumplió con sus expectativas, digo, es muy famoso en el mundo, no defraudó.
Yes. No, it didn't disappoint me. I feel like in America, our steaks are like 4 to 6 ounces if you get a fillet, but this thing was like the size of my head. So it was really, really nice, and it was very juicy, and they gave us the whole display, and so it was really good. Yeah.
Simón, arranquemos por el inicio, de pequeña. Digo, ¿soñabas con transformarte? Hablemos primero de deporte, en esta referencia del deporte mundial, obtener todos los resultados positivos que obtuviste, las medallas y demás. ¿Cuándo sentiste, cuándo fue ese clic, cuándo fue ese momento en el cual supusiste que podías llegar a ser esta estrella mundial del deporte?
So my siblings and I actually started off in foster care, and so I had never heard of gymnastics. So when people say, did you always want to do gymnastics? The answer was no, because I never knew about it until one day I stumbled across from it. But I always say I joined gymnastics by mistake, because that day we were at the daycare and we were going on a little field trip in Texas. And it's a very Texas thing, but we were going to the oil ranch, or we were supposed to. And it ended up storming and raining, so they were all wondering, where are we supposed to take these kids? We need to take them somewhere inside. And so there was a gym down the street called AD1N Gymnastics, and that's where they ended up taking us. And at first, I was super excited because I had never seen gymnastics. It was really intriguing to me. And I started copying some of the older girls in the back. And a coach came up to me and was like, have you ever done gymnastics before? And I was, at the time, 6 years old, and I was like, no, never done it. And she was like, well, that's not normal. So then she brought over her daughter, and she was like, can you do this again? And I don't know exactly what I was doing. I think it was just a seat drop to the floor and back up to my feet. And so I did it again, and she was like, yeah, that's not normal. Your stature's not normal. You're very strong for your age. And so they sent a letter home asking if I wanted to do gymnastics. And I asked my mom what the difference between gymnastics and tumbling was. And my mom said, tumbling is the long strip, gymnastics is the one with the 4 events. And so I said, oh, that's amazing. I'll try the one with the 4 events. And yeah, I started gymnastics. Very shortly after, my mom thought it was the best thing because it saved the furniture in the house. It was a safe environment. And yeah, whenever I started, I never even knew about the Olympics either. I literally just wanted a college scholarship, and everyone in my class used to say, I want to go to the Olympics, I want to go to the Olympics, and I was a copycat. I didn't even know what the Olympics was, so I told them, I want to go to the Olympics, but that wasn't the case for me. I just wanted to have fun, get a college scholarship, and then the Olympics came into the picture years later, probably when I was 15, 16 years old, when I watched 2012 Olympics in London, and I saw Gabby Douglas win, and I was like, oh my gosh, if she can do it, I can do it. But I still never knew about elite gymnastics and what it took to get there and how you become an elite gymnast. I really just saw a magazine that my family was subscribed to, and on the front of it, the girls were in Italy. And I took it to my coach and I said, I want to go to Italy. How do I do this? I want to compete there. And she was like, you have to be an elite gymnast. And at the time I was a level 10, so the highest before elite. And I asked how we do that, and she said you have to qualify. It's a long process. You have to get invited to the branch, and I was like, okay, thinking it would be easy, and it took years. It was not easy, but in the end, I did get to go to Italy and compete there, so that was exciting. But in the beginning, it was just I wanted to go to college. I've accomplished more than my wildest dreams. This was never the case to be the best gymnast in the world, to go to so many Olympic Games. That was never in the picture. I just wanted to go to college and commit. And I eventually committed to UCLA, but had to break that commitment because we didn't have NIL like they do now, where you can compete professionally and in college. So.
Vaya donde la colocó la vida, ¿no?
Sí, qué bárbaro. Y bueno, Simone, estás hablando de ese proceso cuando estabas creciendo y fuiste identificada y luego te enamoraste de la gimnasia y del alto rendimiento. ¿En qué momento empezaste a encontrar modelos a seguir, referentes, mentoras, mentores, a alguien o algunas personas que empezaron a ser para ti esa punta de lanza donde tú empezaste a guiar? Hoy lo eres para muchas personas en el mundo, pero en tu momento, ¿quién era tu referente que te inspiraba, que te sostenía, que te traía esa fuerza, esa resiliencia que siempre has mostrado?
Yes. So my parents have been one of my biggest inspirations from the get-go. Adopting 2 kids when your 2 other kids are going off to college is not an easy job. So I owe a lot of what I do to them. But other than that, sports icons like Serena Williams, LeBron James, Michael Phelps, and then eventually Gabby Douglas, Ali Raisman. I loved Shawn Johnson and Nastia Liukin from 2008 Olympics, so I drew big inspirations from them, as well as Alicia Sacramone was one of my favorite gymnasts because I felt she's taller than me, but I felt like we had similar body statures, and she wasn't that great at bars. Sorry, Alicia. She wasn't that great at bars.
She's gonna listen to you.
Yes, she wasn't the best at bars. She could swing and make it through, and at the point in my career, that's kind of where I was. I was okay at the other events, but not really good at bars, so I was like, and then she eventually never did bars anyway. She just did vault and floor and sometimes beam. So I was like, I'm going to be just like her. I'm never going to do bars. That's the type of gymnast. I'm just going to be a specialist. And then with a lot of hard work, I eventually ended up doing bars and doing all around, which was so amazing to be a part of the all around conversation. But I drew my inspiration mainly from gymnasts because people that understood, that went through the same process that I was going through. And one of my biggest mentors in elite gymnastics was Kyla Ross. Oh, okay. She previously went to 2012 Olympics, and then she came back. And so in 2013, when I stepped on the world stage, she mentored me the whole entire way and taught me kind of everything I know so that I can pass it down to the younger generation, so that if we ever had any hiccups, the younger generation didn't have to go through what we went through. So Kyla Ross was one of my absolute favorites, as well as Ali.
Simone, ¿qué te dio y qué te quitó la gimnasia artística en tu vida? Y aprovecho para hacer una pregunta adicional. Digo, ¿volverías a elegir ser gimnasta?
So gymnastics is my life. It's the only thing I know. I definitely would hopefully, I think everything happens for a reason. I was adopted for a reason. The school field trip got canceled that day for a reason. So I'm not sure where I would be. I hope I would be a gymnast so that you guys could watch my craft. But if not, I always said, hopefully I would be a pediatric nurse or a NICU nurse. But yes, gymnastics has given me community, dedication, possibility. It's given me opportunity to travel, to come speak to you guys. So it's given me a lot. It's also taken a lot of, I would say, it's hard to say that it took something from me because it's given me so much and I've had so much support over the years. So I don't think it's actually taken anything. I've learned from a lot of trial and error throughout my career. So, and I've had a very successful career, so I feel super lucky and super blessed to have the support and to have the coaches and team, because I really do think it takes a village. So I can't say that gymnastics took anything. If anything, it's given me way more. Yeah.
Maravilloso. Y bueno, esta pregunta para mí, quiero decirte además que when you talk about tequila, we are talking now. I'm from Mexico, so. Bueno, hay un momento muy importante que queremos platicar y ha sido el legado que a la par de la gimnasia hemos encontrado de ti, nos has regalado, nos has conducido a través de tu propio viaje de salud mental en el deporte. Parte de ser capital mundial de deporte aquí en Buenos Aires ahora con esta nominación y el impulso que estamos dando en salud mental en el deporte. Tú en Tokio tuviste un momento que tuviste que hacer a un lado esta gimnasia para poder priorizarte, para poder ser responsable contigo misma, y marcaste en ese momento un parteaguas en la historia sobre ya erradicar el estigma de la salud mental en el deporte y poder empezar a hablar de ella y ponerla en la mesa. Tú con este legado nos has enseñado a todos. En Estados Unidos hoy el 63% de mujeres dicen que están atendiendo su salud mental porque te escucharon hablar de ella y hacer un parteaguas. Pero sé que Tokio fue un momento difícil de resiliencia para ti. ¿Nos podías platicar un poco sobre ese momento? ¿De dónde salió esta resiliencia, este momento de levantar la mano? Y hoy eres un legado también y eres una punta de lanza de este movimiento. Entonces, hubo un trayecto hasta París. En París 2024 te vimos con un trabajo realizado entre Tokio y París, magnífico, y también con una simbología muy importante para muchos seres humanos que necesitan atenderse en este sentido, y especialmente en el alto rendimiento y en el deporte. ¿Nos podrías platicar un poquito de ese viaje?
Yes, so I feel like this story, I'm going to go a little bit backwards for this, and I'm going to start in Rio 2016 when I was 19 years old. I had just recently won the all-around, and you know that was a huge accomplishment for me at that time, and I felt like I was on top of the world. And then obviously a lot of the articles were very, very positive, and then some of them were like, she's too old, she's never going to be able to do it again, she's going to have to retire, 19 years old, like, because most gymnasts retire, or they used to retire, unfortunately, around that age or before 21, 22 years old. And so you usually didn't see older gymnasts at a higher level. And so after Rio, once I won, I think it was maybe me and Nastia. I think Nastia might have been 18 when she won in 2008, and I was 19, so I was the oldest American to win an all-around, and they were like, she's washed out, there's no way she can get any better, so how is she going to do it? And so I remember thinking that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're right, there really aren't any other gymnasts. I mean, we have Oksana Chusavitna, which she's gone many, many years, and now she's in her 40s, and she's absolutely killing it, and she's still competing. But other than that, you saw everyone retire in their early 20s, which is really unfortunate. So I went home, I took some time off, and I was like, there's no way I could come back. I'm already way too old. And then I was like, you know what? It won't hurt to try. And I'd rather try and say I didn't make it rather than sit at home and watch the Olympics and think in 10 years, oh, I wish I would have tried, I wish I would have tried. So I started training again. And then I felt like I was getting better and better. And then in 2020, COVID happened, and at that time I truly believed like I was in the best shape of my life, probably even better than Paris. And in Paris I was in pretty good shape, but I feel like for Tokyo I was in better shape, and obviously the wear and tear. But I think practicing for Tokyo, there was a little bit of mental health issues going on already, that I was kind of neglecting my mental health, and I was so worried about my physical health for the extra year that I neglected my mental health. And I remember being on the plane to Tokyo, which is the craziest thing ever. And my coach is here, and it's probably like one of his first times hearing it. But I remember being on the plane and just like looking out the window and being like, this isn't going to go the way I want it to, but I don't know why. Maybe that's not me ending up on the top of the podium. I don't know what's going to happen. But I didn't really want to tell anybody because I didn't want to freak anybody out. And again, I was in the best shape of my life, physically, not mentally, because I knew I needed help. And I've not been stranger to mental health and getting help. I've seen sports psychologists, I've seen therapists over the years, but this time felt a little bit different. I was getting older, I used all of my extra time. Not the wisest, I really just kind of slept, gym, eat, sleep, gym, train, you know. And then in Tokyo, I had the twisties, which basically is like your mind and your body are at a disconnect. And that's really, really dangerous for the sport of gymnastics. And sometimes you can become paralyzed, or in other situations, you might, unfortunately, there's death involved. And so we decided that it wasn't the best option to compete. So I did pull out of that competition. And there was a lot of narratives around why I pulled out. People thought, oh, she doesn't want to lose. She's never lost in like 10 years. She doesn't want to lose. But that wasn't the case. So I decided in our media, we have a little media mix zone to speak out and talk about what I was going through, because I'm not the only athlete that has gone through the twisties. Divers go through it. Baseball, in golf, I think it's called the yips. And so it's kind of detrimental to our mental health. So to take a step back, but I wasn't the only athlete to talk about mental health. Kevin Love has, Naomi Osaka has talked about it previously. So I wasn't the first athlete on a big stage to talk about it, but I think the movement was so big because all eyes are on the Olympic stage, and it's a global competition that is watched. And so I decided to speak up about mental health, what we're going through, because I think in the time during COVID, a lot of people were maybe with themselves a little bit more than they wanted to be. And, you know, when you're working 9 to 5 and so much, everything seems fine. But then when you're locked down in the house, everyone's like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't seem right. But for so many years, mental health has been a voodoo topic, and it has been deemed as a weakness, when really we should switch the conversation up and think of it as courageous and strong, much rather than a weakness and shame or guilt that you have to hold. And at the end of the day, the number one thing is like everyone deserves to get help. And the way I think of it is if you need an inhaler, it helps you. And so sometimes we can't fix all the problems ourselves. We need to outsource help. And in this case, it's professionals. So that's exactly what I did. And again, I'm not the only athlete to talk about it, but I think it was such a global movement. And I felt as I was okay talking about it if you didn't put me as the poster child. I didn't want everyone to plaster me everywhere and say, hey, if you do what Simone Biles is going to do, you're going to be fine, you're going to win, you're going to be the greatest of all time. I didn't think that was necessarily fair to me and for everyone watching the journey. And so I said, if we can walk this journey together, then that's what I'm going to do. And so that's why I decided to speak up about it. And now it's a global conversation being held around the world, which is super exciting. And most of the time, people cannot relate to gold medals and representing their country on a world stage, but they can relate to mental health and what we're all going through. And so if I can be a helping hand, then that's what I'm going to do, especially for kids all around the world. Then I can shine a light on it, basically. So it was really, really hard for me because obviously at that games I was 23, 24 years old, and I didn't know if there was ever going to be another opportunity for me to compete again on a global stage, or if USA would even trust me to select me for another competition. And fortunately I put in the work, me and my team, mentally, physically, and we got back and healthier and felt better for Paris. And so that was really, really exciting. It was such a big accomplishment, but I didn't do it alone. I mean, it takes a village. So my team, my family, my friends, everyone, we all put in the work so that I could compete to the best of my ability and to be the best version of myself in Paris. So, yeah.
Simón, ¿y te sentís cómoda en ese lugar? Porque alguien podría decir que la vida te colocó en ese lugar de ser la referencia de la resiliencia en el mundo del deporte y en el mundo, como decía Yolanda, de la salud mental. ¿Te gusta ser la bandera de esa situación?
I would say in the beginning, whenever I was on a world stage and I was becoming an idol or a role model for young gymnasts all over, I was really, really intimidated by that factor. And I thought that I had to be perfect in everything I did in the gym and outside the gym. And then it came to me at one point. I'm like, you know what? I'm still young, and if I can be raw, open, and honest and vulnerable on all of my platforms, and people can see that I'm still human rather than just like a gold medal winning machine, then that's what I'm gonna do, because again, they can't relate to maybe representing their country or winning Olympic medals, but they can relate to real life instances that are happening. And so that's when I kind of chose to pivot what a role model, an icon, or an idol look like from a social media standpoint. And I feel like that's kind of what I do nowadays. I try to be as normal as possible so that when they come up to me, we can relate to another level rather than just gymnastics. So I was very, very taunted in the beginning, but now it's just like I live everyday life. I love to share my life, raw, honest, open, vulnerable. Then that's what I'm gonna do, because it's really, really hard for kids to see someone their age winning medals when, in fact, from every country at the Olympic Games, only 5 or 6 get to represent. So I thought it's just not normal, you know, what we're doing. But if I can be as normal as possible outside the gym, then that's what I like to portray on my social media. So yes.
Sí, y bueno, oh, wow. Y este caminar tuyo que nos permite ver, y va mucho con lo que Brené Brown dice, no sé si has escuchado a Brené Brown, y el liderazgo valiente pero vulnerable al mismo tiempo, que dice que como líderes, que a veces nos ponemos o nos ponen en ese lugar como tú nos los estás platicando, de pronto me pusieron ahí en el momento en el que me sucedió y tuve que tomar esa bandera. Esta vulnerabilidad que hoy ya no se ve como una debilidad, sino se ve como una valentía y una fortaleza que va saliendo, que va sanando, que va acompañando. Desde ahí tú, ¿qué fortalezas, qué aprendizajes tuviste que hoy te pueden encaminar hacia Los Ángeles? Porque en Los Ángeles nos encantaría que nos platicaras en 2028 ¿cómo te ves hacia ese lugar? ¿En qué lugar te ves? Y por supuesto...
La pregunta del millón.
Sí, la pregunta del millón. Y por supuesto también, si puedes combinar un poco la respuesta, si pudieras decirle a los sistemas deportivos del mundo que pusieran la salud mental en el centro, ¿qué les dirías?
Of course.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
I really wanted to say that.
No, you're good. I knew it was coming. Everyone likes to ask. That is the $1 million question. Everyone likes to talk about LA and what that road looks like for me. So currently, I am taking some time off from the gym because I think it's really important that your physical health matches your mental health. And that's why you saw so much of my success in Paris, because the mental and the physical were right on par. And they were right on track with each other, so I think that's really, really important. So to take time off to give my body some healing as well as mental, and I'm still currently in therapy. I go once a week because it's just become part of my daily routine. I used to kind of hate therapy and really scared of therapy and being deemed as weak, and now I know it's just strong, and you know, I'm getting the help that I deserve. So I'm not sure what 2028 looks like, but I will be there at some capacity. I just don't know right now if it's on the floor or in the stands, but definitely want to go and be a part of that movement. And then, I'm so sorry, can you repeat the second
half? Y si pudieras decirle a los sistemas deportivos de cada país en el mundo que pusieran la salud mental en el deporte, en el centro de ella, ¿qué les recomendarías? ¿Qué les dirías? No sé, alguna... recomendación, algún aprendizaje que tuviste, algo que te ha funcionado en tu sistema. Sabemos que en Estados Unidos es un dilema todavía este poder combinar el sistema, ¿no? La NBA lo está haciendo, ahora lo estás haciendo tú en la gimnasia, y por eso se abrieron las puertas. Vimos los perros terapéuticos, impulsamos mucho esto de los perros terapéuticos en París, se hizo la villa adentro, un centro de salud mental por primera vez para las y los atletas que tuvieran un lugar de descanso, de pausa, de mindfulness. Y tú también eras un ejemplo en las mañanas al entrar a competir, te ponías a hacer mindfulness o estas meditaciones y todo eso marcaba una pauta. Pero esos son ejemplos de acciones. Si pudieras tocar esta parte con tu liderazgo a los sistemas y les dirías, esto es lo que necesitan poner en el centro, ¿qué les dirías?
Yes, so mental health and the topic of conversation surrounding that is still a really, really big stigma around the world and especially in the US because it's not talked about enough. So I think the first step in breaking that stigma is having conversations around it and seeing how we look at it and stop thinking of it as a weakness and thinking more of it as you deserve that help. And I think we've started doing that and we've started having global conversations around mental health and that conversation. And I think so many more athletes are speaking up and speaking out about what they're going through and telling their stories. And I think that's really important that we continue those conversations to break that stigma. And I feel like we've seen it in so many organizations around the US. I do a lot of talks like this, and already so many of these organizations and businesses are implementing rules for mental health days and taking time off and vacationing with your family. And I feel like for me, a big part of my life and how my family has thought about mental health and has kept basically me and my siblings all sane for so many years is taking that time off and going on vacations. And, you know, for gymnastics, it's really, really hard to take some time off, but my mom was very persistent in saying, no, I'm going to pull the kids out of gymnastics for this week and the summer. They'll be back in a week or two, just for the mental and just to make those memories with the family. But I think if we continue those conversations around the globe, then we'll eventually break that stigma. And even in USA Gymnastics, they've implemented some rules that they'll start. There's, what is it called? Sorry. There is, I don't even know the word. I'm blanking on the word. But basically, they're allowing. Well, we have that already in place, but they're allowing the kids to have therapy on national team, and not just the kids and the athletes, but the coaches as well, which is really, really helpful because I think it does take a team. So I think it helps if you give the coaches proper help. And not saying that to anything, Laurent. I know Laurent's staring at me, but I do think it does take a team, and sometimes we all need some extra help. So I think if we keep talking about it, it's changing the narrative.
Simón, me sale el costado periodístico.
Sí,
¿Podemos decir que Simone Biles dijo en Buenos Aires, capital mundial del deporte 2027, que va a participar en Los Ángeles? Después vemos cómo. Para que recorra el mundo.
En alguna capacidad, en algún posicionamiento.
¿Nos autorizás?
Of course.
Dijo que sí, dijo que sí, vamos, lo podemos.
I mean, that will be on your hands. I have nothing. I just said I will be at the capacity. I just don't know if it's in the stands or on the floor. But you go ahead and play with fire.
Maravilloso.
Simón, hace un momento mencionabas las redes sociales. Vaya tema, sobre todo para los jóvenes. Da la sensación de que con los famosos haters se transforma en impiadoso. ¿Cómo lo manejaste y cómo te llevas ahora con las redes sociales?
So whenever I was first starting out in like 2012 and 2013, Instagram was becoming more and more popular. And so we were gaining so many followers overnight from world championships to Olympic Games. And that was really, really tough to see because, again, there was a lot of positive, but there was a lot of negative. And as much as the positives are so nice to hear at such a young age, and we're going through puberty and all of these things, that one bad comment can really, really get you down. And I remember seeing lots of them, and then I would be really sad about it, and my parents would actually look at the comments as well. And I know for a parent, that's not easy, watching the world talk about your child in a negative light. And so my parents were really hurt by it, and then they would tell me to not look at it. And in the beginning, it bothered me, and then we would also have Twitter at the time. It used to bother me a lot, but then I kind of was very stubborn, and I had Twitter fingers, so if anybody said anything, I would be right there in the comments quickly like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or I mean, if they said something about me, I would have to say something about them, which it's not the healthiest, but but I did it. And then as I got older, I realized that they may never be able to do what I do, so they can't really understand from the same perspective. So I started ignoring them, and then I feel like then that's when I would tell my parents not to look at it. So it kind of became a reverse role. They would tell me not to look at it, and then I was over there telling them, don't worry about it, who cares what they're saying. But social media is not easy, and I know that some of us get on the apps at a very, very young age, and I do think that we should maybe put requirements and regulations on it, because from a young age, these kids shouldn't be able to see some of these comments in a negative light towards them, especially when it could hurt or potentially hurt their self-esteem so much. And then that's where bullying begins and all of that. And although back in the day it was such a normalized thing, I think the pages are turning, and one, there's so many bots, but there's also AI to filter out the comments and so that you see more positive things on socials, hopefully. But I mean, at a young age, it was really, really hard for me to see them, and I would really concentrate on those factors. And then as I got older and I matured more, I was like, you know what, they could never live a day in my shoes, they could never do what I do, and it became a funny thing to me, because I'm like, how are you telling me what to do when you're probably at home eating potato chips on the couch and probably have never flipped a day in your life, and you're telling me how to flip, how to live my life. So it became just more of a funny thing. And now I still look at it, and some of the comments do hurt, because they don't know my character, they don't know who I am, and if they met me, they'd probably be the first to ask for an autograph. So I think that's also really ironic. But now, if I ever want to say anything, I consult with my husband, and I'm like, hey, do you think I should comment this? And he's like, no, just leave it alone. It's okay. Just sleep on it. Or I go talk to my agent or my parents. Like, I just got this really weird comment. I don't know if I should say something to clear the air, because I don't know. I never want to be put in a bad light, or if it's not true. I feel like sometimes if it's true, I'll laugh and I'll be like, okay, you know what, you're actually right, and I'll laugh with them. But whenever it's not true, I'm just like, that really irks me, because I'm like, that's not my character, that's not who I am. But I feel like lately, I try to ignore it. Yeah.
Qué gusto saber que en tu kit de salud mental, en tu 911, tu esposo está ahí para que te pueda ayudar a corregularte emocionalmente cuando necesitas hacer esto de las redes sociales. Eso es buenísimo, y eso lo necesitamos todos y todos. Esa es mi recomendación principal cuando trabajo en este rubro de salud mental con el mundo. Algo que tú, porque nos estás diciendo que las redes sociales, lo que comentaba Cecilio, tienes que hacer este filtro, pero ¿qué te gustaría, si nos puedes compartir algo que se pueda, que no sabemos de ti, y que las redes sociales siempre nos marcan un estilo de vida que vamos nosotros imaginando de esa persona, de ese ídolo, de esa modelo a seguir? En tu caso, algo que te hubiera encantado que supiéramos de ti, que no sabemos de ti, que tuvieras esa oportunidad de decir, esto es Simone, esto sí soy yo, esto me encantaría decirlo y no lo han dicho. Algo sano y seguro que nos pudieras compartir, que te hubiera encantado que aquí en Buenos Aires supiéramos.
Ya lo sabe, ya lo tiene en la mente.
Mira, le está trabajando, ¿eh?
No, that's actually a very good question, because a lot of people ask, hey, what don't we know about you? But I'm actually a pretty open book on all of my platforms and in person. I just like to have a good time, live life to the fullest. I feel like life is so short when you actually think about it. So I feel like there's really nothing that people don't know about me that I probably haven't put online already. So I'm sorry, that may sound really boring and not giving you another headline to write, but I feel like I am an open book and I kind of share everything. The only thing is, maybe if you're a gymnast or if you're an athlete, don't listen. But I don't like to work out nowadays. I absolutely hate it. Pilates is the worst. And I used to, Laurent, close your ears. I used to cheat in conditioning. I hated that. I cheated in conditioning every time. Not every time, but most of the time. But don't do that. Do not do that. Kids, do not do that. Do all of your conditioning that your coaches tell you. I'm just old. I'm just old.
que se dice en Buenos Aires se queda en Buenos Aires.
Simón, ¿cómo y dónde te ves? Suponte de aquí a 10 años.
Oh, that was a question. Okay. Yeah, well, in 10 years, goodness, I feel like I'm already pushing 30 right now, so that would be pushing 40. So that'd be, that'd be hard. But I will say, hopefully in 10 years, starting a family, and since I was a foster kid and I went through foster care, I know exactly what the process is like. So if I can do anything, it's helping the community, helping the foster care community, and I actually work with one of the organizations in the U.S. called Friends of the Children, and what they do is they pair a friend, which would be a mentor, and they can have, I believe, up to 10 kids at a time, but it's basically someone to show up for them each and every day or be a constant in their life, because most of the time they don't have that, and so they can show up at like Dads and Donuts or dance recitals or really whatever that kid needs, and most of them have gone to break so many stigmas and gone off to go get college scholarships and enroll. And whenever I first started working with the chapter, they probably had like 5 or 6 around the U.S., and now they have over 30 chapters around the U.S., and we recently opened one in my hometown in Houston, Texas. So that's what I would like to do, is help out the foster care children in the community. Yeah.
Las últimas y después le vamos a proponer un simple juego a
Sí, le
Simón.
vamos a poner un juego a Simón.
¿Sí?
¿Sí?
Okay.
Vale.
Bueno, las últimas preguntas.
I hate games, but it's not because I hate losing.
No, pero
No.
Okay, good.
Esto es
es
como
muy
un
tranquilo,
poco más-
es simple
Es
game.
ligero,
It's because I'm not
sí.
good at them.
Sí.
No, este es ligero, este es como de un juego de memoria.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Vamos con el juego.
Vamos con el juego, sí, claro.
Vamos, te vamos a mostrar algunas fotos, ¿sí? Y vos con pocas palabras.
Tienes
Con
que
pocas
ver-
palabras.
Oh, guys.
Tenés que definirnos con pocas palabras la foto que ves. No nos digas sobre esto, tené cuidado.
Yes.
Be careful with this.
I know. I know you guys are super big. It's football? We call it soccer,
Sí.
but football. He's iconic. He's legendary, and he started a movement. I know who it is.
Sí.
Yeah.
Sí. Bueno, aquí en Argentina durante mucho tiempo, increíblemente fue cuestionado, ¿sí? Y lógicamente también ha tenido que trabajar mucho en lo concerniente a la salud mental. Vamos a otra foto.
Yeah.
A ver.
Oh, my mom and my dad. Yes, they're so cute. They've actually been married for 46 years now, which is a huge accomplishment, and I hope to have a marriage like them one day. I mean, I'm married. We're going on 2 years, but I hope I get to 46.
Sí.
Yeah, those are my parents. They're the cutest, and they own our gym back home in Houston.
Muy bien.
Yeah.
Vamos a la siguiente.
Oh gosh.
Tú de pequeña.
I think this was
Tú de
probably,
pequeña. Definite.
Yeah, I think this was. Yeah, I was probably 7 or 8 in this picture, so I was just starting out in gymnastics. I believe this is one of my very, very first photo shoots, and I thought I looked flexible, strong, young, and youthful, which now when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's not the best form or the best pose. But she was brave. She was brave to start, and she never gave up for her dreams. Yeah.
Muy bien. One more.
Oh, no. My husband would die. I don't have a crush on him anymore. That was like whenever I was younger. But yeah, he was my crush growing up, and I had a life-size board cutout of him in my room, which my family got for me as a joke, and it did stay in my closet because it absolutely terrified me. But yeah, I did get to meet him in 2016. They flew him out to the games after we had won the team gold medal, and that was, I can't say it was one of the highlights of my life because I feel like we're kind of past that, but it was a good moment for my childhood crush. Yeah.
One more.
Taylor Swift, yes. I love Taylor. I actually used her for inspiration for my floor routine. So that was the very beginning of my floor music. And so she's totally iconic. And I heard she came here and performed for some of you guys in Buenos Aires. So yeah, she's an icon, a legend. And she's super fun. So yeah, love her.
Vamos, una más.
Oh, that's my husband. This is my husband, Jonathan. He's going on his 8th season in the NFL, and because of athletes and elite athletes speaking out about mental health, he actually started going to therapy and seeing a sports psychologist. And because football in the U.S. is you're supposed to be so strong, no weaknesses, no mental health issues, and he started to realize that once he started seeing his therapist, he actually plays better, and it's not deemed as a weakness, it's seen as a strength. So yeah, because I started going to therapy and breaking that stigma, he also started going to therapy, and they actually have a therapist and a mental health specialist on each of the teams in the NFL that they have access to now. So, yeah.
Bien. Yeah. Bueno, no te aflijas que no hay más. Y hoy te preguntaba, Yolanda, qué cosas, qué cosas no sabíamos. No sabíamos.
That was an easy game.
No, era tranquilo. No sabíamos de ti. ¿Cómo sos como esposa? Yo creo que todos quieren saber eso. ¿Sos celosa, por ejemplo?
Yeah, no, I'm actually the least jealous person. I hate games not because I hate losing, just because I don't know. I just like to have fun. That's my whole entire thing. My husband is very, very competitive, and if I win at a game, he has to play it again until he wins. And for me, that's not the case. I could lose every single game we play, and as long as I'm having fun, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about: making memories, having fun. Because we might not all be able to win everything that we do. So, and that was one of my parents' big things when I started gymnastics was not to go out there and be the greatest ever, or to win the Olympics, or to win any national championships or world championships. It was really, as long as I was having fun, then they didn't mind that I was doing the sport. The minute that I said I wasn't having fun, they were like, well, let's seek some help, or let's quit. One, because it will save us a hell of a lot of money, and two, because let's find your passion if that's not gymnastics. And so that's what they did. But I'm not a very jealous wife. I could care. I mean, I'm just not, and I travel so much, so I like to be as active as possible. So yes, whenever I'm at home, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm washing dishes, I'm walking the dog. I'm literally just like you guys. Like, the only thing yeah.
You're a human.
Yeah. Yeah, groceries might take me a little longer because people in the store recognize me and they want photos. So sometimes I will get groceries delivered. But other than that, I literally go through the same thing you guys. I gotta pay my own bills. I drive my own cars. Like, I don't have a chauffeur. Like, here, yes, they're so nice. They gave me one. But other than that, like, no, I'm just the same. Yeah.
Maravilloso.
Muy bien, sí. Es difícil imaginar a una Simone en las tareas cotidianas, ¿no?
Claro.
I do. Actually, it's very relaxing. It's very relaxing. I really get in a groove, and I put some music on and clean the house and do the dishes, and that's like my calm and my peace. And if my husband does it, I always go back because I'm like, you didn't do it right. So yeah.
Oye, Simone, y en lo que nos estás diciendo de tu vida.
So controlling, not jealous.
Marital.
Sabes que no me quedó claro, no lo dice muy convencida, no sé qué creen ustedes.
No, pero ahí hay mucho mensaje de equidad, igualdad e inclusión que estás manejando en ese matrimonio. También, bueno, nos voy a poner un poco serios, pero es importante porque tú lo has experimentado de primer nivel, con él también en este sentido, porque es un atleta muy destacado. Las mujeres, las niñas, las jovencitas, a veces en el deporte nos seguimos quedando atrás en la equidad, igualdad e inclusión de género. Hay mucho movimiento en ello, pero todavía es un largo camino para andar. A mí me tocó abrir brecha en el taekwondo femenino en la historia de México y del mundo. La primera selección que hubo para Seúl 88, en ese tiempo no había mujeres en taekwondo como deporte. Y mi único referente era Nadia Comaneci, que nada que ver con el taekwondo, bueno, a lo mejor un poco al estirar la pierna, sí. Pero hoy ha cambiado este tema. En la gimnasia se ha liderado mucho más en mujeres, ¿no? Las mujeres son un referente, gimnasia, los hombres sí, pero destaca más esto. Y claro, la gimnasia, por ende, se ha vuelto un catalizador de la equidad, igualdad e inclusión de género. Tú que lo estás viviendo en casa y en el mundo en este momento, ¿hacia dónde quieres que vayamos con este tema?
I feel like it starts with the younger generations, and you know, for me, it started with seeing Gabby Douglas and Dominique Dawes, and so it's people that looked like me that I could relate to, that made me believe in my dreams. And so once I saw them doing it, then I felt like the sky was the limit, and I could accomplish anything that I put my mind to. But it definitely helped seeing someone that looked like me and they had the same interest in gymnastics. So I think that's kind of what it takes. And here in Houston, my parents are African American and they own the gym, so it is Black owned, it's woman owned, and so people get really excited. And so we've seen huge numbers skyrocket, especially after the Olympics, of people coming to our gym, and it's little kids in our gym that look just like me that always come up to me and they're like, if you can do it, I can do it, and they just see so much excitement. And I think we've seen around the world it change by seeing so much diversity on world stages as well as on top of the podiums, because it gives you confidence, it gives you strength. And so I think that's really, really helpful, and that's what we try to do, is be a representation. And thankfully I've had representation for myself growing up, so to continue that. And you know, some of our podiums have been like all Black girls on the top, so we say Black Girl Magic, and it's to inspire those younger generations and those younger kids around the world that look like us, that we want to inspire them that they can do it, because we've done it and we've been there. So to just do it, yeah.
Simone, muchísimas gracias, pero muchísimas gracias y...
Thank you.
Quería saber si te habías sentido cómoda. ¿Te sentiste cómoda en la conversación? Sí. ¿Estuvo bien?
Sí.
Yes, thank you so much.
Muy bien, ahora tenemos
sufrir.
un presente para ti del secretario de Deportes y el equipo de deportes de la ciudad de Buenos Aires. Sabemos que te gustan las flores. Bueno, mañana tendremos una clínica con Simone Chino, ¿no? Sí, estará mucha gente, ¿sí? Mucha gente.
Mucha gente. El Parque Roja va a hacer una fiesta del deporte, donde van a poder estar sobre todo los niños, que son los que ella inspira. Ojalá que se llene una impresión de la ciudad.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos, espero que la hayan pasado bien. ¿Sí? Gracias.